Hi there, everyone. My name's Max, and I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of Vroman's Bookstore for tuning into today's event. Today, we are lucky to have with us Rachel Ignotofsky, who will be reading her book, What's Inside a Flower? And Other Questions About Science and Nature. Rachel is a New York Times bestselling author and illustrator living in Los Angeles. She grew up in New Jersey on a healthy diet of cartoons and pudding and graduated from Tyler School of Art in 2011. Now, Rachel works for herself and spends all day and night drawing, writing, and learning as much as she can. Her work is inspired by history and science, and she hopes to use her work to spread her message about scientific literacy and feminism. Today's event does include a Q&A portion, so if you would like to ask Rachel a question at any point, go ahead and click that Ask a Question button towards the bottom, and we will go ahead and get to that after she's done reading her book. And lastly, if you would like to purchase her book, you can go ahead and click that green button down below, and it'll take you right to our website. But with all of that out of the way, I will go ahead and let her take over. Thank you all so much.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to be here with Vroman, and I'm so excited that I'm going to be reading my newest book to you, What's Inside a Flower. So usually I write books at the middle school level, like my Women in series, Women in Art and Women in Science, and my book about planet Earth, The Wondrous Workings of Planet Earth. And you can get all of these at Vroman's as well. But this is my very first book that is on elementary school science curriculum. So I'm really excited to share my very first children's picture book here with you guys. And without much further ado, I'm going to do just that. So bear with me as I share my screen. Here I go. And full screen. So, what's inside a flower? And other questions about science and nature. Flowers live everywhere. They bloom in bustling cities, lush jungles, soggy swamps, blistering deserts, and high up on rocky mountaintops. Flowers are found growing on trees, in orchards, on the vines of fruits, in grassy fields, and in fancy gardens. And look at this little bee. He says, vegetables with seeds are scientifically considered fruit. Flowers come in many colors, shapes, and sizes. But how does a flower grow? Why do flowers bloom on plants? What's inside a flower? Science will help us answer those questions. A flower starts as a seed underground. The seed will begin to grow roots and its first leaves. Above ground and below, bugs, bacteria, and fungi all munch, crunch, and wiggle their way through the dirt. They are called decomposers. Decomposers eat waste, like garbage, dead things, and poop. By breaking down waste, decomposers make new soil. Soil is the perfect place for a seed to grow into a flower. With time, the seed will become a much larger plant. The flower's roots spread deep into the ground, keeping the plant sturdy so it can grow tall. Rich soil has water and minerals that a plant needs to grow. Rainwater soaks into the soil, traveling down to the roots. The mineral in the soil helps the plant grow strong. The root hairs slurp up the water and minerals. A flower stem grows out of the soil. Water and minerals from under the ground travel up through the stem to the rest of the plant. The stem holds up the plant's leaves and flowers high above the ground. Leaves are food for many animals. And let's see what's going on over here. Look, an aphid is having a snack while a ladybug stalks its tiny prey. Roar! Leaves have a special job of absorbing sunshine. Plants turn sunlight into food in a process called photosynthesis. Turning sunlight into food is a plant superpower. During photosynthesis, plants also make fresh air. Carbon dioxide from the air goes in, and fresh oxygen comes out. Plants make the oxygen in the air that everyone breathes. Just like people need food to grow big and strong, a flower needs sunshine, water, and minerals to grow. When a flowering plant gets big enough, buds will appear. Each bud opens little by little until it blooms into a beautiful flower. Look inside a flower to see where seeds are made. The stamen makes fluffy grains called pollen. And see this structure right here? This whole structure is called a stamen. The pistil has a sticky stigma and tiny egg cells called ovules. So this entire structure right here is the pistil. This little top right here is the stigma. And see these little tiny egg cells here? These are called ovules. Plants have eggs. Isn't that crazy? A new seed can only grow when pollen lands on a flower's stigma. This is called pollination. Pollination is between flowers that are the same type or species. A few types of flowers can make seeds all by themselves. Most flowers need pollen from another plant to make seeds. This is called cross-pollination. Many flowers need help to be pollinated. Some flowers rely on the wind to spread their pollen. Other flowers use animals. These animals are called pollinators. Flowers create nectar that many pollinators love to eat. Bees, butterflies, birds, and bats all reach inside the flower for a tasty treat. The pollen sticks to their bodies, and as the pollinators snack from flower to flower, they spread pollen and help to create seeds. Flowers attract pollinators in different ways. Many flowers have colorful petals. These are like a neon sign saying, "Nectar's here." Some flowers have strong smells to attract pollinators. Night blooming flowers smell especially sweet, so pollinators can find them in the dark. A flower's petal shape makes feeding easy for local pollinators. Some petals are shaped like landing pads for bugs, while other flowers are perfect for long tongues and beaks. The more pollinators that visit a flower, the more chances there are for seeds to be made. Many plants use seeds to reproduce and spread new plants around the world. Flowers create new seeds through pollination. Pollen lands on a flower stigma and grows a tiny tube to travel down into an ovule, an egg cell. This is how pollen begins to fertilize an ovule. When the pollen grain and the ovule join, a brand new seed begins to grow. A grain of pollen and an ovule each have half of what's needed to make a new seed. As the seeds get bigger, the flower begins to change. Petals wilt and fall as a fruit or pod grows to protect the precious seed. The fruits, husks, and pods that protect seeds come in all different shapes and sizes. Time passes and the seeds become ready to be planted. Some seeds will burst out of their pods and grow wherever they fall. Other seeds will be eaten by animals and scattered when they poop. Seeds travel near and far. They roll down hills, fly on the wind, and float away on water. Some seeds have wings to help them glide. Some seeds are hard and heavy. There are even seeds with hooks to catch a ride on a passerby. Once a seed finds a spot in the soil, a new plant will grow and a new flower will bloom. We have learned how each part of a flower does an important job. Seeds are made inside the flower. The petals help attract pollinators. The leaves absorb sunlight to make food. The stem holds the plant up tall, and the roots slurp up water and minerals in the soil. We also learn that flowers do important things for everyone. A flower's seeds help spread new plants all over the world. Plants make fresh air. Flowers grow into food for people and animals. Plants also do countless other things: shade, animal habitats, beauty. What will you plant in your garden? What will you grow? Yummy tomatoes? Sweet-smelling lavender? Giant sunflowers? Whatever you plant in your garden will be lovely. Because you know what's inside a flower and you understand the science that makes flowers special. Happy flowers mean a happy earth for you and me. And that's the end. And we have resources in the back and even more resources like worksheets for you to enjoy on our website while you read and learn with this book. So thank you guys so much. And we'll be taking your questions. So if you have any questions about my book, what it's like to be an author, what it's like to be an artist, any of my other books that you might have read, just come on and ask me.
Howdy. So I got a question to start it off.
Yes.
What's your favorite part of the book? What part did you have the most fun with?
I think my favorite part of the book was drawing the soil and all the worms and bugs, getting in there, eating stuff. I love, I know this sounds goofy, but whenever I talk about ecosystems or things like the cycle of a flower, I also really like to talk about decomposers, bacteria, and poop, because really that's how the world goes round, is through that cycle of, life, death, eating, pooping, and recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm just gross. I'm still a little kid who just wants to be in the mud, looking at the worms, being totally gross.
So we have a question from Cynthia, and they asked, what inspired you to write this book?
So this book, the main inspiration was I was reading science core curriculum for elementary school kids. And I was thinking about how there are so many, with my other books, I write them at an 8th grade level, which can age up and age down. And I have all these kiddos reading my 8th grade level books. I wanted to create something for those elementary school kids who are really enjoying those books with their moms and dads that's just for them. So, and I also wanted to create a tool for teachers so that science time and story time could just be like one and the same, to really just help drive the lessons home. Because I think that when you start a science education at the youngest age possible, even if it's kindergarten, 1st grade, it allows them to make science a part of their lives as they grow older. They become comfortable with it. So that's really why I wanted to make the book.
Yeah. So we have another question. And it's, how long did it take you to write this book? So
this book, I worked on this book in 2019. And I would say that the writing and drawing process from start to finish, because for me, it's one and the same. I draw it while I write it, and then I'll scratch out my illustrations and write something else. I would say the whole process took about like 6 to 7 months. And it also was me. It was also 2019, so I was traveling to a lot of botanical gardens, like the Huntington Garden, the Huntington Library right there in Pasadena. I was spending a lot of time there. I was going on hikes in different sorts of ecosystems to kind of see like what kind of flowers grow there. So like I was, taking hikes in the desert, taking hikes in the redwood forest, all that, going to the mountains, all that really, really fun stuff. And all of that trying to inform the work that I was doing.
Yeah. The next question is from Deborah. And they asked, what is your favorite kind of flower?
Okay, so I really just love all flowers, but I think my favorite right now is a sunflower. They're just so big and cheerful, and they really just brighten my day.
I get that. They're so pretty. One of my favorite things is just to be in a sunflower field. It's so beautiful. I get it.
I love that that's on your list of favorite things is being in a sunflower field. That is, I love that, and I agree wholeheartedly. That is also one of
Right?
my favorite things. Yes.
Yeah. Next question is also from Cynthia, and they asked, who inspired you to write and draw?
Well, I've been writing and drawing since I was just a little kid. So I was always drawing. I don't have a memory where I wasn't obsessed with drawing, but to want to be an author and do all that, I think what really hit it home for me, it was when I was like 16 and I was just really enjoying. I was just like, what do I like to do when no one's watching? Oh, I'm just going to read comics all day long. Just, and so that's when I kind of realized that the things that I loved interacting with were the kinds of things I wanted to do. And when I was a kid, I really struggled with reading, and it was books like the ones that I make that actually helped me learn how to read and got me interested in so many different topics. So I just kind of want to, like pay it forward and kind of do that for other kids too.
Yeah, I love that. I have just one personal question. How did you start drawing? Like, how did you get better at drawing? Was it just practice, or did you look to certain artists, or
It
how'd you
was,
go?
oh, it was a ton of practice. So like when it comes to drawing, I was never like, I was never the very, very best at it. There was always someone like in my art class or just like in my life who was better at drawing than I was. But the key is confidence, like
Mhm.
trust in your line, like don't erase it, just keep going, because it's all those happy accidents that actually like is your style, and it's all your limitations that will make you actually a more interesting and stronger artist. So like draw every single day. If you're learning how to draw from life to start off. Learn all the rules so then you could go break them. So like draw from life, create compositions, draw big, and then in that process, your style and who you are as an artist will reveal itself to you.
I like that. The next question is from Deborah, and they asked, "Are you currently working on any new books?"
Yes, we were actually talking about this
We
right
were.
before the chat started. So the book that I'm working on right now is The History of the Computer, and it's written at the same level as these 8th grade books are. So it'll be able to be used in high school and college and elementary school, just like these books are used all around the world in every level of the classroom. And in this book, it's super heavily illustrated, like everything I do. We go all the way from prehistoric times, counting on your fingers and your toes, to yesterday. And we talk about how tools to help our minds, basically tools to help expand our minds and to help us problem solve, how they've evolved with us as human beings, and how these computers have become such a big part of our lives, and how they're tools to help us kind of be able to think more and expand our human intellect. So I'm really excited about it.
And do you have a general date that is coming out, like a month
Yes,
maybe? Yeah.
it is. I believe it's March 2022.
Oh, exciting.
So it's coming out. I am in the weeds with it. So like we are on second draft, getting it to the fact checker. Like, we are like 40% of the way done with the illustrations. And it's the most exciting part about this book is getting to kind of just spend time looking up and learning about like all these old personal computers. Like that's actually my favorite part. Like reading about like the Commodore 64 and the Apple II, and just how it blew people away at the time. That it went from being like, these were machines kept in laboratories that even the programmers weren't able to interact with because the machines were so big and so technically complicated, like as machines, and kept in refrigerators. And the only way you could interact with them was like, even in the 80s, was like with certain machines was with punch cards and like writing and assembly, and how they became these little tiny, like almost like the size of a microwave that we could keep in our home. And then all of a sudden, like people were able to make music and write books and create art on these machines around the 80s. So it was just really, really exciting to see how quickly progress was made and how these machines got in the hands of the little people like us.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because like they used to take up entire rooms, and now I can like pick my computer up. It's very impressive how far.
It's like my iPhone has, I mean, so like it's 100 times more powerful than the Apollo guidance computer that got our first men on the moon. Actually, like if you want to like a real equivalent, the Apollo guidance computer is literally as powerful as a Nintendo NES.
Whoa.
And it's the first device that that and like some missiles were the first devices that ever used computer chips, ever. Before that, like everything had to be like all the different parts of a computer circuit had to be like soldered in using like, you know, like a jeweler's lens and a soldering device. And of course, like that made things a lot bulkier and bigger. Yeah. Then they like literally they invented the IC, the computer chip. And then the first thing that it was used for was our aeronautics program, because it was the space race and it was the Cold War and all hands were on deck. So machines, like a computer went from being like the size of a room or a refrigerator to being big enough to be on the space shuttle where like every single pound matters. Mm-hmm. And that's how they did it. And there's actually, it's really crazy. I'm sorry, I could go into this for a while. I know we're supposed to talk about flower books though. So interrupt me if anybody has any more questions about flowers, but it's just really fascinating. And I'm just gonna say my homegirl, Margaret Hamilton, she was the lead programmer who was the software engineer who created the Apollo guidance system, like the program for it. And when she was doing that, the word software engineer didn't even exist. She like basically created the job on the job with her team at MIT. So it's really amazing. And just in theme of everything else I do, there's all these like, of course, we talk about like people like Douglas Engelbart and Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, all the Steves. But we also talk about these like amazing pioneering women throughout the book, because like I can't help myself. I gotta rep my homegirls. Yeah,
and they deserve it. With,
yes, 100%.
They accomplished, yeah.
And they've been there from the very beginning. The very first people who, like the predecessor of the computer is the counting machine, and who was operating it? A team of like female like secretaries. But they were the ones who were operating those punch cards, doing basically census work. But anyway, I digress. I'm very excited about my computer book. I'm also just so thrilled that my flower book is now out in stores, and that we can like, what's so exciting about this book to me is that I feel like it gives kids the building blocks they need for their fundamental science education. And it introduces them to these like really complicated ideas like why are flowers important? Well, to put it in like adult terms, because they provide us with ecological benefits. And explaining that to kids at such a young age will give them this like strong education to be able to then recognize that as they progress in their science education. So yeah. I'm really excited about this book. I really hope that kids go outside in their backyard and kind of do some observational science of their own. So and we have even more resources and prompts for that for teachers and libraries, because they just released the library and teacher packet at Random House Kids. So if you go to your teacher resources at Random House Kids, that's there as well.
Nice. So yeah. we do have one more question. It's from Emily, and they're asking, what has it been like to adapt your older books for board book editions?
Oh, see, that's a great question. So I actually just kind of announced my Women in Art board book yesterday. So we are creating a baby book version of, let me just grab it right here, a baby book version of these books right here, my Women in series. And you may be familiar with Women in Science. And it's been so wonderful working with the Random House Kids team, where we have taken these illustrations, which, here's an illustration of Rosalind Franklin. And we've put her on a bright blue background. We've recolored all of them for baby. And we've condensed her story into basically one simple sentence for baby and toddler to grasp. And it's going to be a wonderful introduction to all of these women, and it'll get them excited. It'll make them a part of their lives at a very young age, and then it'll get them excited to learn even more about them as they grow up and are ready to read big kid books. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to see like moms reading the like older book and like babies reading the little book, like, you know.
Yeah, that's a really cute picture you just put into my head.
Yeah. So I'm so thrilled. And they're they're on the other side of the room. So I'm not going to like get up and show everyone my sweatpants. Sorry, guys. But they're just they're like so cute and squat, and like the pages are thick, and it's like they're just so adorable. I'm so excited for them, and they got foil on them just like the big kid books do. So
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, when they come out, you can have me come back for little kid story time to read the board books too.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question is, did any children's books inspire you to write books?
You know what? When I was a little kid and I struggled with reading, it was books about science and history that really allowed me to feel like I was a smart kid. Because when you struggle with reading in elementary school, you can kind of get down on yourself. But then I started reading comic book versions of like the classics. So I had like a comic book version of the Odyssey and the Iliad. I had a comic book version of like Robin Hood and Shakespeare. And so then I was like this elementary school kid who's like, I'm reading Shakespeare, you know? And I also had these really amazing books growing up. Man, I'm trying to remember the author's name. I think it's like Michael Vasquez or something. He writes World's Famous Artists. It's this little series of basically like children's books where there's little cartoons of from art history, and it features a different artist in every book. And I remember going to the library, sitting on the floor, pouring through these like art history books for kids, and really finding out the kind of person I was, which is someone who loves art, who loves learning about art, who loves learning about science and history. And it's all thanks to these heavily illustrated books.
I love that. I love your entire like way of thinking. I'm an art history and chemistry double major. So just like you, I like love looking at art while also thinking about like the science side of it. And it's perfect. It's a great combination.
Well, if you think about it, both science and art are ways to describe the physical world around us. So it's like one is emotional and one is very objective. And so like when they come together, something magical happens.
Oh, that's great. So Lauren asked, well, what is your favorite type of flower? So if you would like to just reiterate that.
Lauren, I love a sunflower. If you want to send me sunflowers, do it. It's Valentine's Day.
So it looks like we don't have any more questions. So at this point, we can go ahead and move on to the little craft portion.
Yes.
If you would like.
That sounds wonderful.
So I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat to Rachel's website where you can go ahead and download all of the little crafts. And I'm going to hop off screen and she's going to do some crafts with you. So thank you.
Hello. So today we are going to be making this little pipe cleaner bee. And I have all the supplies here with me now. And if you don't have the supplies with you at home, you could just watch and then go to my website. I have the directions all written out. So you guys could do it at home. Or if you have pipe cleaners, you can follow along with me now. So buzz, buzz, buzz. What do we need to make this craft? Well, the first thing is a dowel. So I'm going to pluck this guy right off. This is going to be our little stick that we puppet the bee around with. So I'm going to put this down. And what else do we need? Well, we need 3 pipe cleaners. 1 black, 1 yellow, and 1 blue. A pair of scissors. And please ask your adult at home if you can use these scissors or if they're going to be helping you. Snap, snap. I got 2 little stick-on googly eyes, and these are really cool. And you could get these at any craft stores, and they're like little stickers with backs to them. I got mine at Target if you're looking to have a bee that looks just like mine. And a pencil. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our pipe cleaners down to the correct size. So the yellow pipe cleaner, we're going to cut this one in half. So how I do it is I bend it, and this is about 5 inches if you want to measure it with a ruler. So we cut that. Here we go. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the blue pipe cleaner to 4 inches. And the best way to measure that is you could just put these up next to each other. And the top of your thumb, if you're an adult, is about 1 inch. So just put your thumb kind of down there, hold it, and then snap, snap, and take the shorter end. Okay, now we're getting ready to make the bee's body. So take your pencil. Your pencil is going to be this great tool to help you make the bee's body. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap the pipe cleaner around the pencil twice. So 1, 2. This is going to be the bee's little head. Then we're going to take our yellow pipe cleaner. We're going to put it next to the black pipe cleaner, see? And now we're going to make stripes to create the bee's body. And we're going to keep wrapping this, see how I'm doing it? Around the pencil until the yellow is completely used up. And there we go. So that about does it. I'm just going to do one more time. And so your pencil should look something like this. And now we're going to gently slide the pencil out. So now we're going to continue to make the bee's body. So this end right here is going to be the bee's stinger. And we're going to stick it out and bend it this way. And this is the bee's head. So right now, as you can see, it's kind of a flat tube. But you could take this end and bend it inwards to kind of round it out. So then it's like a happy little, I'm going to bend it even a little more. Pipe cleaners are really forgiving, so there's no mistakes. Just unbend it, rebend it. It's really great. So there we go. And we're going to take our scissor once more, and we're going to trim his little stinger so it's not too long. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put this down, and now we're going to get ready to make the pipe cleaner, the blue pipe cleaner into the bee's wings. So the first thing you do is you fold it in half, and then we're going to curve it and create a little heart. And these are going to be the wings. See? And the great thing about pipe cleaners is you don't need any glue or anything. Just stick the wings into the middle of the bee's body. And if it's looking a little wonky, guess what? You could just bend and kind of perfect it. There we go. Now, this is my favorite part. We're gonna smush the bee. So hold your bee like this, and then give him a good squish. Now, this is just gonna make sure that everything sticks together. And so I give him a little squish, and I kind of move him around. Look at that. Oop. I'm gonna make his tail nice. So now we're ready to give this bee his little eyes. So I'm gonna take my first googly eye. I'm gonna peel the back, and bear with me because I don't have the longest fingernails. Here we go. Oh, got the back off. I'm gonna stick this little eye on just like this. Oh, he's looking at you. And then we're going to do the next one. And like I said before, I have created drawn instructions for you to follow along. So if you're not doing this with me right now, you could always do this with me on your own time. And then you could have a little friend to help you read the book. Oh, and there he goes. Now, this is where the dowel comes in. And you kind of could just stick him right on here. And then you have a little bee to go around with you. If you don't have a dowel, you could actually just use the pencil from before. So I'm going to show you that too. There we go. And now you have this little bee friend. And the great thing about this bee is that just like a real bee in real life, he's really fuzzy, which means that if you go out into your yard and you see flowers that have developed pollen on their stamens, you can have him take a little snack of it and you can move from flower to flower and actually pollinate yourself. And this is actually an activity that I did when I was in elementary school. So thank you guys again so much for joining me. I really hope you have a blast reading and learning from this book. And I also hope that you have some fun making yourself a little friend to learn even more about pollination and how animals and plants interact with each other to help spread seeds around the world.
All right, awesome. Round of applause. Thank you so much, Rachel. That was awesome. Thank you, everyone, for coming and being with us for this wonderful event. Again, if you'd like to buy her book, learn more about flowers, you can go ahead and click the button down below, and you can go ahead and buy it from our website. But with that all out of the way, I hope you all have a good day. And Rachel, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Everyone have a beautiful weekend and a happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. I know Vroman's got a lot of Valentine's Day books as well, so you're going to want to click that link.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.